Now tonight, more decisive action and leadership from President Trump. As we begin our monologue, we have full coverage throughout this hour. Now, here's something that the media will not tell you. Here's something Democrats that have been playing politics will not tell you, and I think we should all listen to the president. This is not about politics. This is about our American family. There's going to be plenty of time for politics down the road. Now, from day one, this president took aggressive and even unprecedented steps to prevent the spread and mitigate the impact of what is now a global pandemic. We have pandemics from time to time. They had it in 2009 and 10 in the Obama-Biden administration. We'll give you some of that information in a minute. As always, the president's mission, above all else, rightly, to protect the lives of the American people. This should not be a partisan issue. This is not a political talking point. The coronavirus does not discriminate between Republicans and Democrats, conservatives or liberals. This is a moment where we should all work together. A lot of people are scared, combat and protect American workers from this disease, and of course those that are most susceptible, and of course then get back to normal. Make no mistakes, in serious situations, truth matters, facts matter, and unfortunately there's been way too much politicizing of this, too much, well, untruths being told, and actually even some actually weaponizing what is a global pandemic. That all needs to stop. I hope it will. Here's what you need to know. There are now around 120,000 individual cases of coronavirus worldwide, including an estimated 81,000 in China, where new cases are now steadily declining. By the way, China did not do the world a favor by not acting sooner. They should have acted earlier. They should have been more forthright. They should have been more honest. They were not. And meanwhile, there are around 10,000 cases in Italy, 8,000 in Iran, nearly 8,000 in South Korea. Around 4,300 people in the entire world have died from the disease. As we now speak, there are around 1,200 cases inside the United States, including 30 American deaths, most of which were from one nursing home in the state of Washington. The average age of mortality is 80, according to officials. The death rate estimated at 1%. Now, those most at risk are people with underlying medical conditions, the elderly, those with compromised immune systems, people going through chemotherapy, for example, or immunodiseases of some kind. For perspective, so far this season, there have been 34 million cases of the flu, 20,000 deaths just in the U.S. alone. In other words, there have been 1,200 cases of corona versus 34 million cases of the flu. As a senior director at Johns Hopkins pointed out this week, the flu is having much more of an impact than coronavirus. That's what these are facts. For more perspective, we go back to 2009. That year, more than 1,000 Americans had died in a 6-month period from H1N1, better known as swine flu, that virus, and 20,000 Americans had contracted the pandemic before President Obama himself declared a national emergency. One of his health officials on day 11 did, in fact, say it was an emergency to release some funding. Got to tell the truth on all cases, but 1,000 Americans at that point had died. Ultimately, that disease killed around, well, 12,000 plus Americans in its first year. Now, perspective aside, our current president, Donald Trump, well, he's not leading from behind. In fact, more facts. No president has ever done more, acted more quickly to slow the spread of a disease. Now, keep in mind, the coronavirus wasn't even officially identified in China until we gave it a name on January 7th. December 30th of last year is when they first said, oh, we see that there is a virus that is showing symptoms of pneumonia. We labeled it on January 7th. On January 31st of this year, 3 weeks later, the Trump administration declared a public health emergency. No president ever acted that fast. Americans returning from areas most impacted, they were subject to mandatory quarantines on military bases. By the way, the travel ban went into effect. The president ordered that on February the 2nd for all non-U.S. citizens who recently visited China, even though most officials feared it was too soon for travel restrictions. Now, on the political side of this, Joe Biden suggested that ban was xenophobic. CNN, over there, they said we're stigmatizing people from other countries. In the following days, the president formed a task force filled with top scientific medical professionals. We're blessed with the best in the world. and they're led by the Vice President, Mike Pence. Every day he's been updating the country. On February 29th, the State Department issued new travel restrictions for Italy, South Korea, and Iran. At the same time, the FDA cut regulations, allowing more rapid testing capacity for coronavirus. On March 2nd, President Trump met with pharmaceutical executives to discuss treatment and vaccination plans. On March 3rd, the administration ordered the CDC to lift all restrictions on testing. On March the 6th, the president signed an $8 billion emergency spending package into law, $8.3 billion to be specific. On March the 10th, the president met with the insurance industry representatives who agreed to waive co-pays for every American as it relates to corona-related treatment. This afternoon, the president met with banking executives to discuss plans for corona's economic impact and the potential economic and tax relief for workers of businesses that are directly impacted by this virus. And just moments ago, you just heard the president announce that a temporary travel ban will be extended to the continent of Europe, excluding the UK. That means there are now restrictions, travel restrictions on continental Europe, South Korea, Iran, and China. Now, will we see new cases of corona in the United States? Absolutely. Do we need to take it all seriously? I've been saying we have to. I've been saying we need to cure. I want to cure cancer one day. It's amazing how great our medical researchers are, the best. But let's be clear, this administration, their actions, in spite of what many have been saying, they have taken unprecedented steps to slow the spread of this disease. Dr. Fauci on this program last night, the president's quick ban on travel from China likely saved thousands of lives. That one act in 3 weeks, unprecedented, probably literally saved thousands of Americans from contracting that disease, and probably some, the elderly, those with underlying health issues, those with compromised immune systems, from, yes, facing potential death. China, meanwhile, they've got to be held responsible for the spread of this deadly disease, their dishonesty, their government secrecy, even outright lies. The Wuhan coronavirus was able to spread unchecked throughout the world. Now thousands are dead, markets are down, businesses are suffering, in part because China lied, suppressed scientists, and frankly tried to cover up the disease instead of alerting the international community, which would have been the wiser thing to do. At the end of the day, it's another important reminder that China is ruled by a self-interested, well, dictator for life, with little concern, clearly, for the rest of the world. But fear not, back here in the U.S., we do have the best doctors, the best scientists, the best medical researchers, the best technology, and we have a president now that is committed to doing, as he said tonight, whatever it will take to save American lives. Yeah, we're in the midst of a serious situation. People are nervous, people are panicked. Before long, yes, we will be back. We'll be stronger than ever before. We have faced pandemics before, and when we have, what has happened? We find ways. We always do.